What's up, everybody? I'm back again with another preset for ya. This one was fun. It is, let's go, let's see, where is it? Where is it? Oh man, did I close it? There it is. All right. So Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. Yeah, this one was fun. I love that Univibe is a lot of fun to play. So yeah, I broke out the trusty old Strat for this one. It sounds great with my Tyler. I was tempted to play the Tyler, but I thought it would be a little more authentic with the Strat. And if we look over here on the preset, we'll go through this real quick. Basically, my usual legendary 87 compressor. From there, I'm going into a rodent drive. It's kind of set like the Nuno setting. You can leave it or you can leave it in or take it out. Doesn't really make that big of a difference, but it does kind of seem to make the low end a little tighter, like pick attack wise. It may just be a mental thing for me at this point. I don't know. But I like it. And then next I put in of course the MX Vibe to these settings here. speed. I kind of set it about 33%, which is not the default. I think everything else, maybe the depth was up. I turned that up a little bit as well. From there, I go into the facial fuzz. For this one, now I did notice when I played my Tyler, I did need to change it from single to humbucker. It did make a difference. Because I originally started playing this in the humbucker, and I was like, it's kind of dark, and then when you hit the single, it brings in a little more high end. So yeah, if you're playing a humbucker, just make sure and switch that over to humbucker or single coil. If you're playing a single coil. From there, going to a Brit Plexi 100 normal, basically bass all the way off, mids, treble, presence, up dimed all the way, gain at about 7.5. I did have the gain a little bit lower from my Tyler because of the humbuckers, so you may need to adjust that. From there, I'm going into a cabinet, a 412 Brit with a ribbon kind of way off to the side, Dynamic 57 in there as well. I did put I had an EQ in here that I may or may not have enabled. I think I did have it enabled for the Tyler. I took it out for the Strat. But what I'm doing here is I'm going out output 1 and 2. So that way I'm getting a dry guitar signal. Then I'm feeding everything before the cabinet to row 3 and 4. I've got another EQ here. It's basically just kind of a high pass. Really not doing anything, quite honestly, but it's there if you need it. Going to row 3 and 4, and then I have these utility gains in here to kind of police you can kind of police the volume going into everything on this row this way. And then I have basically the same cabinet again, or is that a different cabinet? Okay, same cabinet, but the mic positions are a little bit different. These two are the same. This one is different, so you can mess with that if you want. And I've got a high and low cut also here if you need to employ that at any point. Then I've got an ambient reverb on one row, and then I've got a dual delay on the other row. So I typically don't like the delay feeding the reverb. Sometimes it's a cool effect, and sometimes I do that, but most of the time I have the reverb and delay split on 2 separate rows. I also, on the reverb row, I do have a Mind Hall reverb set to 100% mix. That if you want to mess around and get a little wetter reverb, you can. This modulation here, I have that there because sometimes it's cool. You can hear the modulation. Sometimes I like that modulation on the trails. It can be kind of a cool effect. And without it, actually there might be some modulation on this already. Dual delay, let's see. I think the dual delay does have modulation too. It does, but it's not set very high. So this way you can kind of set a really cool, you can get really excessive with it. Let me save this real quick so I don't screw it up. If I turn the rate all the way up, you really hear the modulation then. It's kind of a cool effect, so I'll leave it there. I didn't have it enabled for this playthrough, but I will leave it in there. And let's see. That's it, basically. So I'll show you what happens when if you don't have that dry guitar going out. If I mute that row, See how the guitar is just kind of buried in the effects? This way, when you have the dry guitar, so it's kind of like a wet dry kind of situation, you can hear, you can kind of mix more of the dry guitar in. To me, it sounds cool. It sounds better. That's how I do most of my presets that I use. Because I'm so used to the wet, dry, wet, and wet, dry, and hearing a prominent dry guitar versus something that's kind of buried in effects. That's just kind of what I like more than the other, like I just showed you. But that's it. Yeah, keeping this one short and sweet because I got a bunch more of them trying to get done also. But yeah, thanks for checking the video out. Hope you guys dug this one. Again, I'll put this on the cloud for everyone to download. One thing that I'm also doing is I'm going through all my artist presets and I'm making a capture of the amps for people that have the Nano Cortexes, just for fun. So I'll do a version with the cabs and then I'll do one without the cabs. And then I'll do a video of kind of showing all of those at some point, but I am working on that for people with the Nano Cortexes because I get a lot of questions like, hey, will this work with the Nano Cortex? And it's like, no, sorry. But yeah, but anyway, thanks for checking it out and appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe as always. Hit that bell notification. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Appreciate you checking it out. Take care. See ya.